This gentleman I met 15 years back in one of the Nigerian conferences. And we were both beginning new, and after 15 years, now we are meeting again. It is good to see Salisu after such a long time. He is a fellow of CAPS, which is another great achievement. A fellow of CAPS is someone who is regarded as the pioneer for professions, giving back to the community, making sure that the profession is developing, making sure that people are growing, which is what he is. I don't want to introduce his skills. I would leave it to you, Doctor.
Thank you so much. Let me be sure the technology is working. Tech guys. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. How are you? Good to see you all. So today I will be talking about when procurement starts thinking. Bridging the leadership crisis in the age of AI. I'm pretty sure that somehow almost everyone here is using AI in some ways, right? Is anyone not using AI in some ways? Okay. Now, let me start by asking a very interesting but simple question. And I want you to have this as a reflection even after this conference. Think about it. If procurement is to be replaced, what would that be? Okay? And secondly, if AI can manage procurement end to end, what would be the core value of the function? Has anyone had a thought about that? So think about it. Today we have autonomous vehicles. Everyone is excited about that. Probably we are going to have autonomous aircraft, and we're all excited about it. Flying taxis. These are completely going to redefine existing industries. Now, as procurement people, have you ever had the thought that if, for any reason, procurement is autonomous, what would that be the value of the function? This is a very interesting slide which will also make you thinking. In a situation where machines can buy from machines, right? And we are beginning to see that. Someone used ChatGPT to send an email, and you also use ChatGPT to reply the email. It's already happening. So what if machines can buy from machines, systems spot what is needed, and then find, negotiate, and of course execute. Markets that run themselves. And what that means is that rules, prices, and trust are built directly in the codes. Thirdly, resource optimize themselves. And here, software constantly decide where to buy, build, or even stop a project based on real-time data and codes. Guys, I'm not here to scare you or to make promises about AI or to teach you how to use AI, but I'm here really with a very simple goal. Us as professionals and organizations to be able to understand and navigate the complexity and crisis of adoption, acceptance, and use of emerging technologies like AI. Because adoption does not translate into acceptance. And acceptance does not what guarantees actual use. My goal is simple. I founded a company which is supply chain technology, a company building AI solutions across the end-to-end procurement and supply chain. I also serve as an adjunct professor at Stratline University teaching digital transformation in procurement and supply chain. And see, this profession has been really something that has been part of my life for almost 2 decades now. I'm one of the contributors of the global standard of procurement and supply developed by SEPS. So like I said, at NantWest we have some few solutions like Open Tender AI, SCN Genius Network, the Teams platform, and value innovation. This is just to give you an idea about what NantWest is building within the future of supply chain management, particularly procurement for organizations. So, getting into my presentation. Do you think procurement is ready for AI transformation? Is anyone running any AI projects at the moment in procurement? Anyone? Really? Okay. Now, I want to share some few data with you. This is a study that we conducted last year with almost 1,400 participants across 24 countries. Ironically, we found that 70% of procurement professionals learn about AI from blogs and media, not structured training or company initiatives. That is a massive risk. And then the second key finding is on AI adoption. 65% of the participants see AI as similar to other technologies that embed existing processes. The final finding is on AI priority and implementation, where we saw 55% of participants believed that AI is a top priority but don't know where to start. The next interesting finding was on a very specific question among these 1,400 participants. Where do you see specifically generative AI making a difference or having significant value in procurement? As suspected, what we saw is supplier selection, contract management, risk assessment, spend analysis, demand forecasting are the top key areas where procurement professionals like you believe AI is going to make a difference. Now, here is where the issue is. Historically, digital transformation has seen significant challenges, which I'm going to share in a bit. The paradox here is there is already crisis facing procurement, and this crisis has nothing to do with technological advancement or tools, but leadership vacuum. And this leadership vacuum has to do with there is disconnect. Despite significant digital transformation initiatives, up to today, leadership failed to understand that there is a fundamental shift that drives digital transformation, not just technology. It is not always about the technology. And secondly, we tend to automate inefficiencies. We just use the technology as a tool to automate or digitize a broken process, inefficient process. And the vacuum is, regardless of software development, technological advancement, this is not a substitute for strategic foresight. And absolutely ethical accountability, human judgment, especially today we are in the VUCA world. We are faced with volatility, uncertainty, complexity and ambiguity. So this is the cost of failed digital transformation. 70% of project failure rate. This is not coming from me. It was a published article from FT. Annual financial loss from a simple case of Ford and GE amounting to almost 900 billion US. That's almost the size of GDP of some countries. And 33% of leadership were dissatisfied with their investment in digital transformation. So are we still treating AI transformation as another digital transformation? And I want your honest feedback here. Do you think AI transformation is equal to digital transformation? You should reflect on that, please. So this slide highlights why AI transformation is not equal to digital transformation. Number one is to look at the strategic purpose. Digital transformation focuses on digitizing processes and improving efficiency. While AI transformation is about redesigning how decisions and work are performed. The second aspect is to think about the nature of technology. In digital transformation, the focus is on rule-based, deterministic systems, where we determine what the outcome is. We have 5, 6, 7, or 10 stages that you have to follow in order to get from point A to B with the tasks, with determining goals. However, in AI transformation, it's all about what? Learning, adaptive, and probabilistic systems, where AI can determine based on the size of data, context, behavior, and look at 90% what probability or chances that this is going to happen, and it will execute a particular decision, function, or any other action. So you see it's completely different. The role of humans, right? Humans operate systems and make decisions. And in AI transformation, humans supervise, train, and govern intelligent systems. A simple illustration is to think about, instead of being the pilot, you are what? Assuming the role of what? Air traffic controller in AI transformation. Value created is about speed, cost reduction, and transparency. But in AI transformation, the focus is on insight, prediction, autonomy, and new value creation. And I believe we can all attest to the fact that we are seeing the value that AI potentially, beyond generating AI or ChatGPT, right? AI is making it possible to achieve various industries. Operating model impacts, right? For AI, for digital transformation, it's basically enhancing existing workflow. And in AI transformation, it's about a configurable, structured, and workforce. Data dependency is another key important aspect. In digital transformation, the focus is on use of data for tracking and automation. While in AI, the focus depends on high quality data for learning and continuous self-development. So this is how AI transformation is going to look across the procurement function. This is not mutually exclusive, but this is perhaps to give you an idea about what AI can do within the procurement cycle. Starting from planning, right? And the role of AI can be around predictive orchestration, real-time demand forecasting, and automated model alignment to determine what you need when and for what reasons. Of course, the next stage is on sourcing and dynamic market discovery, which is already happening. Autonomous global supplier scouting and instant risk profiling. Again, the next stage is on awards, smart negotiations, where AI to AI negotiate and automate smart contract generations. And I think this is one of the most advanced areas within the AI ecosystem. Platform like PAN2, this is for the autonomous negotiations. Notice and continuous transparency, obviously blockchain-backed notification and automated regulatory filings, especially we are now living in a more interesting world, right? Regulations all over. Performance and self-optimizing execution where IoT linked and dynamic performance-based payments can happen. Once a particular, whether it's delivery of a project, milestones, or of course delivering products, a physical IoT device can notify an AI system and then it will trigger the next course of action, whether to pay suppliers or to people. So some of the core AI capabilities are centered around agentic sourcing, AI to AI negotiations, smart contracts, predictive risk management. So here is a key important takeaway for you, and I want you to reflect on this really, really well. Number one is the AI spectrum or strategic spectrum that every professional and organization should look into is first, leverage. What is leverage? Identifying AI systems tools that can increase productivity, right? Can enhance the way you work, execute certain tasks. Augmentation is the next stage. And augmentation has to do with focusing on intelligence, the next layer. And here we're talking about more of human AI synergy in complex decision makers, where AI does the heavy lifting and then human is in the loop to take ownership of decision. And the last part is on the autonomous. We are not yet there, but certainly we will be there. And this has to do with your focus is going to be on governance, setting the rules. And this will be in an agentic systems acting independently without any intervention. So this is not really a final destination. It's a journey. You are going to start now. You need to identify perhaps where you need to start, how, and to what extent that can add value. So this is an AI opportunity matrix that we developed at NatWest, and this is basically to give organizations an idea around the last slide, right? Number one is to look at it from an internal operational and efficiency versus strategic transformational impact. Now, from this context, you have everyday efficiency AI, right? More of leverage AI. And we're talking about PO and invoice automation, right? And this can be done as simple as email automations, right? Whenever you receive an invoice, or perhaps through your ERP system, right? Workflow automation, something that you can do personally, right? You don't need complex technology to do this. Things like contract review and process instructions, as simple as an adding on Microsoft Words, right? This is something that can give you an instant productivity. Of course, other areas centered around strategic operational AI, right? Demand forecasting and inventory optimization, supplier risk monitoring, price benchmarking. Then, of course, you have the supplier and market intelligence, things like supplier discovery and evaluation, particularly a good example is open tender AI, what we are building, supporting businesses to execute supplier discovery and evaluation. Market intelligence and price trends, ESG and compliance monitoring, negotiation insight, and finally, which is the most important area of transformation, it has to do with autonomous sourcing and AI category management, digital supply chain control towers, predictive disruption management. So, as an organization, this will give you an idea of where you're facing, right, and where you need to start and what you need to do. So this is also an action plan, which I believe you will have access to slides. But basically, what this does is to give you an idea of what digital transformation context. I believe every organization here or individuals here are in some ways working on digital transformation. What you do as a procurement leader, what you do when procurement or perhaps leading procurement projects, what changes in how you execute procurement work. Importantly, one thing that I want to draw your attention is to the role of what procurement people in buying AI-related products and services. Right? Today, if you are buying a car, you are likely buying what? AI technology, right? Because it's embedded in what? Smart technology, intelligence, and others. I'm conscious of time. AI procurement maturity leadership guides, and this is also for you. The idea is to look at different stages from stage 1 to 5, and this has to do from being reactive and ad hoc, capable leader to a transformation leader. Put together the roles, things that you focus on, as well as the expected outcome. A good example, which I'm always really interested in, how you move to being a transformation leader. Okay, the role is basically to move towards an AI native ecosystem driver with autonomous spend management and strategic focus. And this is where you see a lot of innovation and growth, not just within procurement, but accelerating the role of what you do as a leader in achieving that. Can you make a difference? I believe you can all make a difference. I have a 4-stage or four steps that can make you to be or to make a difference. Number 1 is you can lead, not just by AI. Number 2 is you can buy AI intelligently. Of course, you can design how you work with AI and of course across different functions. You can as well act as a critical stakeholder. Procurement needs to be a critical stakeholder, given the importance and significance of what procurement does as an organization. Recently, there has been the Paris AI Summit. One key highlight is that today there is no any global consensus, right, on AI regulation. Everybody wants to lead, right? Every organization, every country wants to lead. So as procurement people, you have to keep in mind that if you're buying technology products, there is no any universal standard guidelines on AI, which is quite a big risk. The pace of advancement is significantly improving. Of course, you have to keep an eye, and importantly, we are going to redesign how we work with procurement. And importantly, this has to do with obviously opening up our function to different experiments and others. Now, this is a very interesting final note, and this is from Charles. He says, "It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is the most adaptive to change." Okay, we should all be ready to adapt that. And as a leaders, I believe there are 3 to 4 things that are important, but I have put together about 7 different areas that at least we should keep an eye on. Number 1, new ways of working, continuous learning, human AI collaboration, personal decision cycle, experimentation and failure. Please, we are going to experiment in the age of AI. Risk, ethics, and responsibility is very important. There is an article published by JP Morgan on how cybersecurity risk has increased because of AI, and these are significantly coming from the suppliers. So keep an eye on that. And then, of course, you have to make control, and something that currently people don't want to. You are going to do that in the age of AI. So that's all for now. I don't know if there is any questions. I'm conscious of time. But I've added some guides and toolkits which I believe could be beneficial to anyone that wants to start with AI. Given the fact that there is no any structured learning, people learn AI, blogs, media, and others. So thank you very much indeed, and that's all from me.